morning, everyone. I am Luke Moroney from Search Party Property, and I've got here with me today, each and every Sunday, Tony Meredith from Tony Meredith Coaching, and we deliver the Sunday Mindset Session. Lots going on in the mindset space, Tony. It's a really interesting topic that we've got on today, and I'm sure the fans are going to come on for this one because, you know, it's super interesting to talk about control. First of all, Tony, how are you?
Luke, I am excellent. Sunday morning, here we go again. I look forward to this. This is a real highlight of my week. To be brutally honest, I look forward to it. I bound out of bed. I'm running a little bit behind today because I've been playing with my new little puppy, so time got away from me. But anyway, here I am, ready to rip in.
But it's about the joys, Tony, and
yeah, of course.
Spending a little bit more time with the puppy is good
yes.
for you, good for the puppy, good for the soul. My mother's just come on. G'day, Catherine.
Hello, Catherine.
And a whole bunch of other people that are joining us. But control is a big one. I'd love to get my mother's thoughts on control and how she's controlling things for herself. And
are we going to bring Mum on?
Yeah, we could do that one time. Yeah,
as a guest, hey? You know what? What about for the 100th? What about for the 100th? We bring on some special guests, maybe some of our special fans, etc., and we can bring Mum on.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, she obviously is here almost each and every Sunday for it. And
she is.
You know, as well, if we're late 5 minutes, it's like, what's going on?
It's about accountability, Luke, accountability.
Well, that's right. She's definitely one to put me up for the accountability side of things.
Good.
Control, Tony, how are you feeling about control? We're going to do a bit of a rapid fire session today because time is of the essence for us both today on various things that are going on. But control, Tony, how long are we about our control?
Well, it's about recognising what it is that you can control and what you can't control, and recognising that you can control you can control your thoughts, your actions, your behaviours, how you respond, how you show up, how you and I show up on a Sunday morning. I can control how I show up. I can't control how you show up, and vice versa. So there's things that I can control, and there's things that I can't. You have to be able to recognise that there is a line that you can't step over. I'll give you a real-life example in business. You can't control if someone's going to buy your product. You can market, influence, persuade, negotiate, etc. But will they buy? Out of your control. Same in property. You can do all the same things to get a property, but the decision of someone to let that property go at that particular price is beyond your control. So it's about recognising where is the control start and stop, and it starts with you and then it stops beyond you.
Well, Tony, there's so many aspects. Even if you look at a property example, and you know we're both in the property space as well, and help people in the property space. Thinking about, we're looking at a particular property to purchase, and then we don't have the control of what the property manager is going to do on a buy and hold property, for example. We don't have control, ultimately of what the tenants are going to do, whether they pay the rent, and then whether they actually look after the place. There's so many aspects that we can't control on a particular investment. And when you think about these in terms of life, when you're working with clients on small business and then various other things that are going on. So these are the aspects that we're dealing with each and every day in regards to control.
Yeah, exactly. So let's play on your example again. So you can control the property manager that you select. So you can control the interview process you go through to select the right property manager. You can control the number of times you call that property manager, how you communicate with them. You can control the questions that you ask them. Are you asking them plenty of specific questions to get the answers you're looking for? There are things you can control, but to your point, you can't control how often they choose to visit the property, how they choose to manage the property, and obviously you can't control the tenants.
And I guess this is where people lose the sight of fact of, in regards to property and how properties can work and how properties can't work, or what kind of areas that you want to buy in, and people perceive the areas of we're getting into a bit of a property discussion now of like when they haven't put the energy and time and effort into something and haven't got to the point of the things that they can control, actually doing them and putting them into place, then they actually lose out on that investment, or they actually see things go wrong. So what they should be controlling, they're not actually controlling, and then blame other people for the lack of things that they didn't do themselves.
Yeah, correct. And that's how, that's the whole response to things. So people will tend to blame when things don't go their way, but you have to accept responsibility, right? It's about accepting responsibility that this is my money, this is my choice of investment, and I just take a hands off the wheel approach, well, then you're probably going to get a mediocre response. But if you take a hands-on approach and where you actively look after your investment, or again, it doesn't have to be property. It could be about your health and wellness. It could be about relationships. It could be about your business. Take a hands-on approach. Think about what are the things that I can control. And instead of blaming someone, what you can do is go, well, hang on a second. I actually recruited that particular person. I didn't ask them those particular questions. Did I give them specific information of what I was looking for? So don't just say something once and go, oh, I told you once about 3 weeks ago. Don't you remember? No. So it's about going, well, I gave you specific instructions. Do you have clarity on what I gave you? Paraphrase back to me what I talked about, right? Specifically what it is that I want you to do. Do you have the level of skills and training to do what I'm asking? Maybe I don't. Right. So within my business, I use a model. It's not my model, but it's a model called the 3 C's, and it's called clarity, competence, and climate. Does someone have the clarity around what you want them to do, whether it be a property manager, whether it be in small business, outside of that? Do you have clear set of instructions of what I want to do, and do you understand them? The next one is competence. Can you pull off the thing that I'm asking you to do? Do you need some more training? And the last one is climate. That's all around environment, the culture, and how you set things up for that. Be a business person, but you could apply the same everywhere. But it's about accepting responsibility. That is what you can control.
Okay, so the question for the audience today is, what can you control within what you do? Also thinking about, are you holding on to too much control, or are you seeking too much control about what's going on? And we're going to get into these particular subjects. Ken Murray's come on and said good morning to Luke and Tony. People are too vague, he says, when giving instructions, not specific enough. And that could be a problem. And that's the whole thing about clarity and being clear, Tony, that you mentioned as well.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly. It's about, it's the number of business owners that I come across and say, well, but I asked them to do that about 3 weeks ago and they didn't do it. But did they even understand what, like, just because you might be racing through and go, hey, listen, so-and-so, can you just go and do that something? Oh my gosh, like this happens all the time, where it's like, let's slow down. Let's make sure that they understand what it is that they've got to do. Do they have the ability to do that? And then let's support them to ensure that they can be as successful as they can be. As opposed to, I said it, they didn't do it, bloody hell, blame. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We've obviously followed Gary Vee, both of us, and ultimately he says everything is my fault. So putting the blame on other people, when if you're the leader, you're the manager, and not giving those clear instructions and specific, like Ken says, then that's where the gap is in terms of communication. So we've got to remember that. And this is how we can control things that little bit better, or we can put those instructions into a little bit clearer perspective for someone else. The way we think about it and the way we see things is very different perspective than what the person who's receiving that information. And we can get a better understanding.
I had this exact conversation with a client earlier this week, right? So he's having some challenges with his assistant. And it's like, but does she clearly understand what you wanted to do? Well, I've told her a couple of times, no, that wasn't my question. Does she clearly understand what you wanted to do? So just because you've said something, like you said, someone else may interpret that as just a totally different language, right? You don't know that. So we've just got to slow down and make sure people...
The person's response, I've told her a number of times, like obviously that says to you and it says to me that they're not really convinced themselves in the way that they answered that. So
it's not getting through. It's not seeping in, right? So it's like, well, okay, do I take a different approach to this, or do I just keep, definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing, expecting a totally different outcome?
Well, let's get back onto the control aspect of our subject today. Are you really in control? So Tony, my first item that I want to discuss with everyone, Johnny's come on as well, and a few others that have joined, what and how much can we actually control? If we have a look at our, the lives that we lead in various things of socially, in terms of business, maybe in terms of investment, how much and what can we really control?
There is an enormous amount we can control, but it's all about us. We can control our actions, words, behaviors, attitude, how we show up, how we speak, how we lead, how we follow. We can control all those things, and they're enormous, right? But there is also a point where it goes beyond that. You know, and I've used the example with property people before. You can, when you go and buy a property, and this would be for your clients too, you can control the price you offer, you can control your negotiation, your persuasion, your influencing, but you can't control if they're going to accept your price or not, or your terms or not. And you have to recognize that.
Really interesting. Ken also says, also maybe when giving instructions, ask, do you understand them? Can you do it? If saying yes, told not to explain. Somehow, some are slow learners like myself. So, you know, that's, you know, an aspect that we were talking about earlier about giving instructions. Maybe for them to actually word it back in a better way, for them to have a deeper understanding, not saying, oh, do you understand that? Yes or no. People might just say yes on the back of, like, to make you shut up.
So, yeah, correct.
That can be very dangerous as well. So you think that they understand, but they don't actually understand.
Yeah, so paraphrase back to me. You know, paraphrase back to me. Don't just say yes, no, because like you said, a lot of people don't want to look like they don't know in front of the boss. And so they go, oh, yeah, I know what I've got to do. And the moment the boss, and I've seen this happen in big organisations, yeah, I know what I've got to do. And the moment the boss leaves, it's like, what have I got to do again? Well, what's that thing? Can you just help me understand? Because they're happy to have the conversation with another colleague, but they're embarrassed to come across in front of the boss. And again, that maybe comes down to the boss and what they've done in the past and the culture that they've set, you know, the standards, how they've led. Maybe they've set up a situation where no one's game to say I don't understand for fear of, you know, retribution by the boss maybe.